now.
There we go. Hello. Can I speak with Sean Buck Rogers? This is Chad from Tactical Rifleman YouTube channel.
We'd like to talk to you about your vehicle's extended warranty. Sean, you there? Can you hear us?
Really? You there, Sean?
He hung up on you, dude. That's awesome.
No,
You gonna
it
try
says
one more
call
time?
failed. Let's try again. Let's see if we can get him this time.
Where does he live at?
I believe he's East Coast.
He used to be West Coast.
You got us now, Sean?
Yep, now I got you.
Much
See,
better.
I tried to be a
much
smart
better.
ass when I called you the first time, and the telephone god said nope.
How you doing, Sean?
You know, good. How are you guys doing?
Pretty good, man. Hey, first off, I want to thank you for hanging out with us tonight, hanging out with our studio audience here. We have a loyal group of followers. They call themselves the Asylum. I call them a bunch of nutbags, but I also call them a bunch of great patriotic Americans. We've got a great group here. They're very loyal. They're big believers in that all concerned citizens should become capable citizens, and they just need motivation sometimes to keep them pushing in the right direction. So, hey, Sean, a lot of these guys, they don't know anything about you. Nothing. Squat. Zip. Zero.
They do.
And
Some of them know him.
I'm like, we can do better than that. So rather than me putting words in your mouth, Sean, I know you've done this before. You've done this a million times. I hate to ask you to do it, brother, but tell us a little bit about yourself. Give us your background.
No, of course. So, I started the FNG Academy recently on the YouTube, and then to help guys get selected. But and I got a book that's coming out February 23rd, Rising Above. And I was 10th Special Forces
Okay.
for a few years. I was in the Army for 8 years, and kind of my background mostly revolves around childhood trauma and, how I overcame that to earn a, associate's degree, a bachelor's degree, and a master's degree, and become special forces and all that stuff. And so, so now it's really just about, helping guys get over their trauma, deal with their trauma, and not have excuses for what they want to accomplish in their life. So that's kind of where we're at now is, doing the YouTube channel, doing the book, and letting people know my background so they could, really feel like regardless of where you started, it really comes down to, where you end up, and that decision is entirely up to you.
I agree with you 100%, man. Matter of fact, we talk about it here a lot that in some ways I feel lucky that I got to go in the military at a very young age, because a lot of people, they literally, believe it or not, racism is alive in the U.S. And I was
100%.
Never exposed to that, because when I went into basic training, I literally had a guy in my infantry unit literally from Beverly Hills. I had another guy from the Bronx, and I had everybody in between. And the cool part about being in the Army, and is it does not matter whether you had a silver spoon in your mouth or you were born on the other side of the tracks. You are a piece of shit until you prove to the sergeants otherwise. Everybody starts off as a dumbass private, and you grow on your own merit. And I feel blessed that I can actually see everyone like that I don't have colored lenses on where I've been poisoned by other people's views and stuff. So when I heard about what you were doing with the FNG Academy,
yeah.
Are you allowed to say on the internet what FNG stands for? It's an Army term, right?
Anyway. Yeah. It's an Army term, and it's something that, to the civilians, it may sound vulgar, the fucking new guy, but to us in the special operations community, it's a sense of pride. It's something that, you hate with every bone in your body while you're the FNG. But once you get past it, you realize that most of the lessons that you got that you could apply to the team came from being an FNG. And that comes from, sweeping the floors and cleaning the shitters to all the way up to the point where you have, a ton of responsibility on the team.
Yeah.
And so I think there's so much that comes to being an FNG. It has, it has these negative connotations initially, but just like everything in life, once you grow, you start to realize that, the lessons that came from it are so much more powerful than your initial ego at the moment,
For sure. Yeah. Some of the worst, almost the worst thing you can do is show up the group fresh out of the Q course, acting like you're awesome. You're the best operator ever. And I actually got pulled aside. I started out as an 18 Delta, and I actually got pulled aside in Robin Sage. You remember Robin Sage, right? That was 100 years ago.
For you, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What year did you go through Robin Sage?
So it wasn't too long ago for me, Carl. I graduated in 2015. I know that seems
shit.
like yesterday for you. Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Like,
it was.
You guys should compare stories like
3 for me.
40-year difference,
A little bit. It was 1993, and no, a lot of it has changed. A lot of it hasn't. But for me, anyways, the instructors, anyways, in just about any phase, small unit tactics or whatever, if you got 3 negative spot reports from the instructors that were out there, that was grounds for you to be recycled. And I didn't get any all through SUT, all the other stuff. I get out to Robin Sage, and literally I could do nothing right. I would even save the day. And I had 10 spot reports from instructors. They even brought the first sergeant out, and he's like, you've got 5 of them. If you get one more, I'm gonna come out here. I'm taking. I mean, he literally chewed my ass, and I'm like, I'm halfway through Robin Sage. I'm screwed. And
Wow.
so I make it to the end, and my instructor mentor there, he calls me in for my counseling, and he's holding these spot reports like a deck of cards, dude. And he's like, it only takes 3 of these. And I mean, literally, dude, there's a stack. I don't know how many the final count was. And I like, yeah, I know, I'm sorry. Trust me, I tried to do whatever I could to be right, and for whatever, and I mean, I was speechless, didn't know what to say. And he just smiled and he said, look, I told you a year ago, or however many months ago, he's like, I told you would have no problem getting your Green Beret. He's like, you're one of the best guys we had come through this cycle. We, the instructors, did this to you to cut your feet out from underneath you and humble you. Because if you show up,
nice.
Yeah, if you show up at group with this attitude that you're awesome, they're going to eat you alive, and you're going to be flipping burgers on the street. And
wow.
that stuck with me. So yeah, I showed up at group, and I shut my pie hole, and I sat there. I volunteered for all the crap jobs and tried to be quiet. So. Yeah, man, so before we get to your book, again, which is called Rising Above, guys, you'll be able to find it on his website. But Sean, tell us a little, and I know it's a touchy subject and all, but this is where you've built your whole story here. Tell us a little bit about your childhood, man.
Yeah, so honestly, dude, it kind of sucks because that's something that's continuing right now. So I actually got a call from my brother last night that my mother, who I hadn't talked to in 12 years, heard about the book, and she heard it was coming out. And so as he's calling me, he's like, well, hang on a sec. She's calling right now. And he puts me on speaker, and she's just obliterated, high on pills and whatever else she was taking. And she's talking about how she heard I had a book coming out. She's trying to find me. She found my address online, and she's going to sue me and take my house, and how I was, I'm just a piece of garbage, and she's going to take me for everything I have and all this stuff. And it's like, so, when people read about my childhood and when I talk about my childhood, it's still something to this day. I'm 34 years old. It's still this ongoing thing where I can't even do something like write a book or, do something positive with my life without still having to deal with, shitty parents. Like I haven't talked to my dad in years, and now my mom is trying to sue me because she thinks that just because I wrote a book that it's going to involve her getting some kind of financial benefit from someone else's success. So, just a caveat to the childhood thing, it's still ongoing. But just some of the things that we went through when I was a kid was how it started was we got in a car accident. We were in the same car together. We got in a car accident, and she got injured. And I think I was like 8 years old. I don't remember the car accident. I woke up in the hospital, and the doctors just started pumping her with opioids. And so once she got addicted to drugs, it was all downhill from there. And then I remember my childhood based on the cycle of boyfriends, and
wow.
when I first wrote the book, it was no joke. I chaptered it from boyfriend to boyfriend was each chapter, because each one brought their own, craziness and their own drama. So one of them being this dude, and I changed their names because I don't want to deal with them, but one of them kept her, in a drug-induced coma for months. I thought she was dying, and I'll never forget like crying to this dude and asking him, like, is my mom dying? And he just like gave me this like cold, weird, pat on the back, and he's like, no, she'll be fine, and just walked away from me. And I kind of realized even at a young age at that point that he was the one behind the whole thing. So I kind of deduced later that he was putting her in a drug-induced coma to collect her welfare checks.
Wow.
So, and then, it just kept going. And then, she left him, and it was great. And then she got a new boyfriend, and this guy was a raging alcoholic, and I watched him, beat her unconscious until I thought she was dead. And then at one point she got drunk and drove her car into his house, like into the house, the front bumper. Yeah, the front bumper was protruding through the living room of the house. And
I'm not laughing at you, dude. I'm laughing around you. I am.
No, absolutely. Like, what else can you do?
Exactly. And every family has every family in the U.S. has been touched by opioids, without a doubt, man. But wow, so you've had go on, man. I don't mean to interrupt you. Keep going.
No, it's fine. So so from there, I come home, and it was just a constant state of like your gut is sinking all the time. So you're always stressed, and you're not supposed to be like that as a kid, right? But that's your reality, and every time you leave the house, you have to kind of like make up your own reality. So you start lying all the time. You start making up stories about things that you and your fake family do. But then you inevitably come home from school, and the minute you see your house, your gut sinks because you have no idea what's going on in the house. So, that was one instance. I come home, and then after the car is in the house, it's like, now you have to wait for the alcoholic boyfriend to come home and see what he's going to do. And that's the scary part. You ruin a house, who cares? But I mean, this guy's out of his mind. So he could kill all of us. He could just kill her. He could, who knows? I've already seen him, beat her half to death. And his response to that was taking a shotgun and shooting the front door full of holes. And it was just stupidness. And it's funny because I talked to somebody about it. I was like, from there I ran. It was like 3 to 5 miles barefoot because my sister they were beating each other up. My sister's crying. And so I run barefoot to my aunt's house to try and get help. And then last night when she was on the phone, she's like, she can't even like make a coherent sentence. And it's crazy that 12 years I haven't talked to her, nothing's changed. And she's like, he said he ran 5 miles, but where did he run? Just like, oh my gosh. So anyway, yeah, so that's just kind of how it went until I finally was able to escape from California. And my dad, I met my dad when I was 15, and I was like, you know what, his place has to be better than this. So we went out to visit my dad. I was like, this is way better than what I'm dealing with. I'm gonna escape. So he helped me concoct a plan. He got me in contact with the police department in Fredonia, New York, and they told me what kind of document I would need her to sign in order to have, be able
Custody
to leave
transferred,
legally.
yeah.
Right. So I copied down exactly what he said. And then I slowly packed all my stuff in my closet and hid all my stuff in the closet, keeping my room a mess so she didn't know that I was packing all my stuff. And then I contacted my cousin. I was like, hey, in the middle of the night, I'm going to need to go. I was like, so I don't know what day it's going to be. I was like, but I need you to come get me and hide me out until I can get on a plane whenever I call you. And I was like, please don't tell anybody. Because if she tells anyone in my family, then everyone's going to know. And then my plan goes to crap because then my mom is aware of it. So, I get the note and I write exactly what the cop tells me. And I put a school slip, like a signature slip over top of it. And I cut out the signature spot. And I hand her the slip. And immediately she's like, what the hell is this? And I was like, you just need to sign this for school. And she lifts up the first page. She's like, you think I'm stupid? I was like, damn it. So I was like, well, whatever, plan B. So I was like, I got to do something. So I just started ticking her off. And I was like, you're a terrible mom. I was like, I can't do this anymore. I need to leave. And she starts just losing her mind, flipping out, throwing things at me. And so I was like, this is my chance. I have to get her to sign it. So I push her buttons. She finally was like, you know what? This document doesn't mean anything. And she signs it and then throws it at me. And I was like, all right, thank you. Yeah. And so I was like, all right, thank you. And she goes, now go to your room. And I was like, you got it. So I went to my room and I pretended like I was going to sleep. I called my dad. He was like, all right, I got a plane ticket for you. He's like, but you're not leaving for 2 days. That's as soon as I can get it. And I was like, okay. So then, middle of the night came, my cousin came and picked me up. And then I just hid out for 2 days, got on a plane, flew to New York. Cops were waiting for me in New York.
How old were you when this happened?
So this was all going down when I was about 15.
Wow. Man.
Yeah. So
that's so sad, dude.
Up until that point, it was nonsense. Like I got arrested a couple times. I got kidnapped by, like, no joke. I got kidnapped by a gang member who moved into the next door to my mom's house. And I think we were like 14. And my neighbor, who I was friends with, his older brother was a gang member. He moved in because something happened with his gang. So he moved in to like hide out in the desert. And my buddy shot out the back window of their mom's house. And he didn't want to get beat up by his older brother, so he told him it was me. So this dude kidnaps me. I'm walking to my uncle's. He kidnaps me in his truck, throws a blanket over top of me, walks me into his house. My mom is standing like in the yard, and he was like, if you say anything, I'll kill her. And then all his friends and family put me in the middle of their living room, sit me on the chair, and threatened to kill me. I'm 14, and they're all threatening to kill me. These are like adult gang members. And then he told me, he's like, if you tell anybody, I'm going to wait for your sister to come home. I'm going to wait for your mom to be home, and I'm going to put a ton of bullets into your house while they're all inside. I didn't tell anybody about that. I was probably 19 before I told anybody that happened. So it was some crazy stuff going on.
Yeah.
Nothing that any kid should have to deal with, but unfortunately it's a lot more prevalent than people realize.
Wow, man, that's just crazy. All right, so you got out, you made it to Dad's house.
Yep.
16, dude. What was it like there? New York, still behind enemy
So,
lines.
yeah, yeah. So New York at first was awesome. My dad owned a bar out there. Is in Fredonia, it's like 45 minutes south of Buffalo. It's called Barker Brew Company, and that place was tight because like he was a prominent figure in this town. So I went from like growing up on welfare, and I was like embarrassed to go to the grocery store because my mom was always paying in like food stamps and stuff. And then now all of a sudden, like I'm living with this dude, and he owns his own business, and like it felt good, right? Like I had new
Yeah.
clothes for the first time, and all this stuff. But then, it was like a year and a half later, my dad was like, "Hey, it was 2 years later. My dad was like, we're moving to Colorado, and you're coming with us, and so just get ready to move to Colorado." And like I was like, hell no, I'm not moving again. Like when I moved here, I was in 10th grade. Like I didn't have my brother, to back me up anymore, and I was getting in fights all the time. I got jumped twice. I was, some fights I was doing okay in, but it was hard. So I was like, I'm not doing that again for 1 year of my senior year. So I was like, and I thought he would respect that. I thought he'd be like, all right, man, it's on you. Like, you're almost 18, do what you got to do. So I was like, I'm going to stay. And he lost it. And so then he started doing some craziness. Like he took everything I owned, all my clothes, everything, and he locked it in the basement downstairs. Like we had a crawl space type basement, and no one ever went down there. It's like dirt floors and shit. So he locked all my stuff in there, and he told me that he gave it all away to charity. So I had no clothes. I had like only the clothes I was wearing was the only thing I had. And then he like busted up my room. He broke all my stuff. And I was like, dude, this guy's just as crazy as my mom. Like he just was holding it together. And then he actually owned attached to his house was this like 2-story apartment building. So he would rent out the bottom floor and the top floor. Well, the bottom floor he had rented out to this like this kid was known in my school as like a little gangster. He was getting arrested all the time. He was like the main bad kid in school. And so he called the cops on me after all this and told them that I was best friends with him and I was doing all this like illegal stuff. And so then the cops came and were like interrogating me in the front of his house. And I was like, this dude, he's trying everything,
Wow.
And so it was like being with my mom all over again, but this one's smarter. Like he's a lot more intelligent. So it was almost worse. But he ended up going to Colorado. I ended up staying. I fought it until finally he let me stay. And then I just lived with friends, and I've been on my own ever since. And I was 17.
17. So straight off to the military, or what'd you do before the military? When did you go into the military? How old were you?
I didn't join the military until I was like 21.
All right. So first career out of high school. You do college? What'd you do?
First, I tried college. I tried what are those? Just a community college. I tried the community college up by Fredonia. Jamestown, that's what it was. Jamestown Community College. Wasn't for me. I wasn't feeling it. So I stopped doing that. I met a girl. And then I got into acting, believe it or not. I met up with this producer. What did he do? Casting director. Paul Weber. He's the head casting director at the time for MGM Studios. He was doing a seminar up in Buffalo. So I met him, and he was like, yeah, man, come out to Hollywood. He's like, I'll help you out and all this stuff. So I ended up going to Los Angeles, and I worked for this dude, TJ Stein. He owns Stein Entertainment. He's a manager for this. She's pretty well known. She's been Sarah Paxton and Alexander Gould. He was Nemo in Finding Nemo.
Okay.
So I started working for him as assistant manager, and then trying the Hollywood thing, and I moved out there with this girl, And I was like, this is what I was going to do. I was going to be in the entertainment business. I was going to do casting, directing. I was not casting, but I was doing, was the extras coordinating is what they called it. So my job was to, find all the extras on scene, coordinate where they were going to go for each scene and all that stuff, get them paid and things like that. So that's what I did from like 18 until 20. And then I got married to that girl. And then while we were in LA, I came home and she was in bed with another dude.
Ooh.
So, yeah. So that was like the big turning point for me, because I almost killed that dude. Like, I looked at the butcher block full of knives on my counter, and he was just sitting in my bed, and I thought about it. I was like, I got two options. I was like, I could murder this dude or severely hurt him and then go to jail. And she's like, so when I first got in the house and he was sitting in my bed, she jumped out of bed and she was like screaming at me to get out of the house. And I was like, what the hell? And that was before I saw him. So I was like, why would my wife be telling me to get out of my own house? And then, so I walk in and I see him sit in the corner, and my first reaction is just to start punching everything, all the pictures. So like I looked at it and I see pictures all over our walls of just me and her. So I start punching the pictures in the wall, and then I punched the TV through the wall. And then he's just like towering in the corner, and he had like a glass, those glass handles of vodka sitting on the table. So I took that and I threw it at his head. And then she started calling 911, and that's when I looked at the knife set, and I was like, what am I going to do? And then I was like, all right, you know what? Like, what's done is done, so I might as well not go to jail over it. So I ended up leaving and then joined the Army soon after that.
Where'd you go? You didn't go infantry first, though. I knew in junior high school I was going to be a Green Beret. That's just that was my calling. I knew that's where I was going. This was completely new idea for you. What year was this?
Oh, yeah.
What year was this, Sean?
This was probably 2000. This was 2010. 2009 is when I signed my contract.
Yeah.
And then I left February 2010.
So your country had already been at war for 9 years. We were deep inside the global war on terror. Iraq's winding down. Afghanistan's starting to heat back up again. And so what MOS did you pick?
So I never wanted to join the Army. I had I never even thought about it. Like, it was never even a blip on my radar until once she cheated on me. And it was like, all of a sudden, because I was obsessed with this whole entertainment industry thing and living there. I was obsessed. Like, it was the thing that I knew I wanted to do since I was 17 years old, And once she did that, it was like my whole bubble burst, and it allowed me to open my blinders and think of new ideas. And so I literally had no idea about the military. I had no friends or family that I could talk to about it. My grandfather was in the Air Force, but I was so sporadic about it. So the day before, so I actually wanted to be a firefighter. I went to EMT school. I got in a fight in EMT school and headbutted this dude in the nose. I get kicked out of EMT school, and then the next morning I drove straight to the recruiter's office and was like, sign me up. So he was like, what do you want to do? And I was like, I want to be a Ranger. And he's like, all right, man. He saw me coming, dude. So he was like, all right, come back in the morning. He's like, I'll have your contract and we'll see what we can get you. I was like, cool. So I came back the next morning, and he's like, good news and bad news. And I was like, all right, here we go. He's like, good news is I got you the Ranger contract. And I was like, I don't care then. I was like, I literally don't care what else you have to say. That's all I wanted. And he was like, bad news is they were full on infantry bullshit. He's like, so I got you he's like, the only thing I could get you Ranger was a 92 Golf, a Cook.
Nice.
I was like, yeah. I was like, what the hell? You guys have cooks in the Army? I was like, I thought everybody was just
We just eat
infantry,
MREs,
you know what I mean?
we just eat MREs. Yeah,
yeah.
no,
Yeah,
that's logical.
just
Yeah.
eat snakes and stuff, you know.
Eating
And so
snakes.
I was like, well, I don't really want to be a cook, but how long do I have to do? I was like, I could do anything, you know, for a while. How long do I have to do that? And he's like, dude, get through airborne school, get into Ranger Regiment.
I can
And
see
he's like,
this drill
I'm telling you,
sergeant. I mean, I can see this recruiter telling you this too. Like, yeah, don't worry.
oh yeah,
It'll work out.
just drooling, man. He's like, this kid's too easy.
Yeah.
He was like 2 months, bro, 2 months tops. And I was like, dude,
Damn, Sean, he got you.
oh, he got me good, dude. Could you now looking back, like you don't do anything in the military for 2 months, bro. You don't do anything for 2 months.
In
It
process.
takes 2 months to get. Yeah.
Yeah.
It takes 2 months to in process or to get your papers signed. You ain't doing anything for 2 months.
That's
So-
funny.
So I told him, I was like, listen, I could do anything for 2 months. I was like, but as long as I get to be a Ranger, then I'm good. And he's like, cool.
You get to be a ranger.
And beginning of the end, dude. And then I remember there was actually a Ranger recruiter in the office. And that dude didn't say a word to me. He didn't say a word about
And
any
They were
of
all,
this.
they were all like
Whole
fresh
time
meat.
inside, he's probably sitting there. He's got a pencil under the desk, just poking himself in the side of the leg to keep from laughing, because he knows
I
you're getting
know.
shafted, dude. He's like, the shit these
knew it.
boys will do to make their quota. Oh,
Yep. And the one thing that he said, he finally broke out and said something. I'll never forget it. I'll never in my life forget it. And I was like, it was the moment he told me cook. I was like, you got cooked from the Army? And he looks up from the corner and he goes, you're going to be a cow killer. And I thought, what the hell? Who the hell is that guy in the corner? And what the hell is a cow killer?
oh,
What are
that's
you
awesome.
talking about? So, yeah, he got me. He got me good. He saw me coming.
Did you actually get to go to a Ranger battalion though?
No, so I went to,
They-
yeah. It just never ends.
Oh,
I went to Ranger selection, and then Dick Couch, you know the author Dick Couch?
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, he did. He was doing a class. That the book he wrote, Soy Sponte, that was on my class. And dude, they ramped selection up like RASP was crazy. Like we were. So I was arm's length the guy in front of me on this ruck march, and they were like, "Don't leave the guy in front of you. You better be touching his rucksack."
Yeah,
I
you
was
gotta
like,
be
"Cool, I got
within
it."
arm's reach of them. Yep.
Yeah, and then the guy in front of me was falling out, and my dumbass wasn't paying attention, so I was just trying to stay focused on touching his rucksack
Yeah.
and being that close. And so he comes up to me and goes, "Look in front of you." And so I looked in front of him, and there's a huge gap.
Because
Well,
the
it
guy in
goes-
front
there
of you had bolted forward to close the gap in front of him. Oh, you got screwed.
Yeah, it's exactly what happened. So, and you know those bending hills, man.
Yeah.
So I took off sprinting as fast as I could down those bending hills with like barely broken in boots. My rucksack is like barely fits because I'm a private and I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And I ate shit hard. Like my ankle collapsed and I slid down at least 10 feet of sliding down this concrete. And my ankle felt like as soon as I stepped on it, it was like shooting pain. I was like, this is not good. But I was like, I'm not going to quit, because I want to be here. This is the one thing I wanted to do. So I stayed in the game, I bit my lip and sucked it up, and I was like, I'm good. And by the end of the rucksack, I was like, I'm good. I felt so happy because I was like, if I could finish the ruck, then my ankle's fine. It just hurts, but it'll be fine. And then I couldn't get my boot off. So I had to take my laces out of my boots to finally pull it off. And that sucker was already turning black and it looked like a watermelon.
Ah.
And I was like, damn it. So I hobbled downstairs and the ranger looked at me. He's like, whoa. He's like, Oh man, I was so pissed. I started punching the locker and crying. I ain't gonna lie to you. In front of the Rangers and everything, I started punching the locker. In the it was either the wall or the locker. I started punching it and I started tearing up. I was like, fuck, 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 fuck. And you know, that E8 brought me in, and he's like, hey man, he's like, this is the type of guy we're looking for. So he's like, when you heal up, you know, you come back. He's like, you can stay if you want. And I was like, hell no, I don't want to stay here getting my balls smoked off. I was like, let me go back and heal, then I'll come back.
So where'd you go off? First duty station after Ranger selection.
So they sent me to Germany in 173rd in Bamberg, Germany.
Okay.
And yeah, so, and then obviously I hated being a cook. So that was another story. Is I found out that the Command Sergeant Major's personal security guy, his driver, had PCS'd. He moved to a different duty station. So I was like, oh, this is my shot. So I told the Sergeant Major in line, and it is a long story, but I just told him flat out, and I pissed my first sergeant off. I was like, hey, I want to be your personal security detachment for this deployment to Afghanistan. And he was like, hell no, dude. Like, we don't hire cooks to do personal security. And I was like, Sergeant Major, I was like, I'll shoot and out PT anybody that you have putting up for that spot. And he was like, all right. He's like, you know what? Fine, I'll give you a shot. And that pissed my first sergeant off. So, you know, long story short, I was digging foxholes for like 2 weeks in the field.
As a cook.
As a cook, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
But then finally they gave me the spot. So my first deployment, I got to be personal security, which that's a shit job for infantry, right? But for a cook, that's a big deal, you know, because you're not cooking, you're actually getting out of the wire a little bit.
Yep.
So I love that job.
All right, so when did you go from cook to SFAS?
So I got to 173rd. They were gearing up to deploy. I got the PSD spot and then switched over to PSD. We went to Afghanistan. I did personal security for the Sergeant Major, just following him around different fobs and stuff and hanging out with them. I was basically just boys with the Sergeant Major, like, for a job. And then I signed up for selection while I was in Afghanistan. They did my physical, they did my packet, and then I left Afghanistan 3 weeks early, went home, was home for like 4 or 5 days, and then went to selection.
Nice.
You know, got picked up and then went, you know, luckily I made it through selection without getting hurt, and then, you know, first time go through everything in the Q course.
Which MOS did they give you?
18 Bravo.
18 Bravo weapons expert. So
Weapons. Yeah, I loved it. That's what I wanted.
Yeah, for sure. I knew for sure that because I was already Ranger qualified, been in a recon platoon, 3 sniper schools under my belt already. I knew for sure they were going to make me an 18 Bravo. I knew for sure.
Yeah.
And they said, nope, you're going to be a medic. I said, I don't want to be a medic. I want to be a Bravo. And they said, you can be a medic or you can go to Korea. So I said, medics lead the way. Medics lead the way. And no, but, you know, sometimes God just points you in a direction and you may think it's the wrong direction, but it ends up being better for you down the end. So selection, they make you 18 Bravo. And then where'd you go? Where'd you go in 10th group?
So we went to Afghanistan. I went to, finally got to Colorado, which was awesome. That was what I wanted. I was super stoked. We thought we were going to go to Africa because as soon as I showed up, the guys were already in Africa, and I was like, and it was a nonsense deployment. Like, it was crazy because everyone in that company was all excited because one team got in a little bit of a gunfight. So I was like, man, this sucks. Like, this isn't what I wanted. I wanted, you know, like I spent my first deployment getting shot at and I never shot back. And then now I'm going to go like to Africa and from the looks of it, like
Where
the
nothing's
years
going
have gone
on,
by
yeah.
with nothing going on.
All right,
And then right at the last,
for our viewers, those of you that don't know, 10th group, you guys know the SF groups are separated by regions of the planet. First group has the Orient, 7th group has Central South America, 5th group has the Middle East, the Horn of Africa, all the stands, basically the shithole part of the planet. 10th group, they have Europe. So while I was in 5th group and I've got Gatorade and Ninjas, he's supposed to be out there with Russians and good German beer and stuff. But
yeah,
we would get sidetracked and busy in 5th group, and we would get replaced by other groups. 10th group came and relieved us in Afghanistan, and then you guys started working with us in Iraq also. And at the time, there was plenty of work to go around. But like you're saying, what year was this? Because everything was winding down then.
yeah. So this was 2016.
All right, 2016. But you didn't have to go to Africa, though, did you?
No. So luckily, the guys got back from Africa. I got put on a team, and then we found out that we were going to go to Afghanistan. So
Much
we started
better.
doing yes, and I was like, thank God, that's amazing. And I was like, that's God just setting it up. Like I got my first deployment to Afghanistan. All I wanted to do, because when I decided I was going to go to selection for Green Berets instead of Ranger, I mean, it was because I watched Green Berets getting off the helos with just shot to shit. Like, and I knew at that point, I was like,
Define
dude,
sacks
somebody
of
has
shit. Define sacks of shit for us. What were they getting off the...
Shot to shit.
Huh?
Shot to shit? Is that what you
shot
said?
to shit.
Yeah, shot to shit.
Yeah,
shot
to shit. Okay.
Carl normally wears hearing aids.
Yeah, dude.
But now he's wearing...
too many bombs and rockets and wall charges and door charges. I'm very tone deaf. Very tone deaf.
Yeah,
So-
I translate for him, meaning I just relay in English what somebody said.
Go ahead, man. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're good, brother. So, dude, like, I'll never forget, like, this team came in, and one guy's got through and through to the back of both his legs, and then another dude has, like, he's gone. He's got, and you could tell the medics were working on him like crazy. He's got a trach in with a tracheotomy. So
Yeah.
he's got a chest tube in. I think he had like 2 chest needle Ds in.
Wow.
Maybe even 4. Dude, I'm telling you, this guy had every like hole in him that you could put in him. These guys did to try and save his life.
Yeah.
And then as the medics are pulling him off the bird, they start pumping his chest, and every bullet hole in his back started, like every pump, it would shoot blood out the back.
Out the bottom of
And-
the litter.
Yeah, out of the bottom of the litter, it would start shooting the blood down the back. And these guys were just tore up. And I was like, and then I'll never forget the one dude, it's his team, and he was like loading them up, and he was just dirty, and he had his beard, and I looked at, our memorial bracelets, and this dude was wearing at least 4 bracelets. And not only does he have 4 memorial bracelets on, he's just bringing in 2, at least 1 dead teammate and 1 that's not looking good. So, like, I'm looking at these guys and I'm like, who's gonna?
Yeah,
someone's gotta like.
People to look up to for sure.
Absolutely, they're heroes. They're absolute heroes, and they were larger than life to me. They were like, it was the equivalent of watching Thor or Captain America. Like these guys were that damn cool and that damn amazing. And not only that, they're dying for what they believe in. So that changed the whole scope of what I want to do. But anyway, getting back to it. so I get to go to Afghanistan, and then we do the right seat, left seat rides with the team before the right seat, left seat rides, the team that's already there is kind of filling us in. And they were like, "Meh, we got into a couple ticks, but nothing crazy." So I was like, "Damn it, this is going to be a deployment. Yes, it's to Afghanistan, but I was gearing up to play Xbox and get really good at Call of Duty." And then we get there, and Obama just says, "Send it." And he was on his way out, so I don't know if he was just didn't care anymore, or if that's just how it goes. I don't know, but we just went after ISIS like crazy, and we were getting, like, my team sergeant. This was his last deployment, and this was my first with group. And he retired with the same amount of combat as I left group in, because we just had a lot of good kinetic, a lot of gunfights, a lot of ticks, and it was a blast.
Productive trip.
Thank God. What's that?
A very productive trip.
Yes.
Yeah, those are good ones. They go by fast.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was awesome, and luckily we didn't lose any of our team. We lost a guy from our sister team on one of the missions we were all on together, and that was a huge kick in the nuts. I think that's really when I realized that, war isn't all fun and games, because when you're winning all the time, it's just nothing but drinking with the boys. It might as well be a party.
Yeah.
But then the minute you lose one of yours, it's like all of a sudden reality kicks in, and this goes from a party to, one of the worst days of your life. And it's like, oh, that's what war is. It's like, you don't get to decide, what it's going to be. It decides for you. And that's not why I got out, but I felt like I accomplished all my goals on that trip.
Yeah. All right. So was that your last deployment? Did you get out after that?
Yep. That was it. I was going to stay in. I actually had a 5-year contract in my inbox. And then we just had a ton of team drama. And my team sergeant was kind of going off the rails. He tried to fight one of my teammates. And then we all just really clashed. And so our team just kind of went, everyone that was going to stay in, I think a lot of us, 2 guys got out on deployment, which was not my team sergeant's fault for that one. They were going to get out anyways.
Yeah.
But then once we got back, I got off the team. My buddy got off the team. Almost basically the team disbanded. The team sergeant ended up getting fired. And then, a lot of us got out. So one buddy's in law school now. He's about to finish law school. He just got a job with the State Department. But so on that deployment, I decided, I was like, you know what, I'm not gonna keep doing this. So that was my last deployment, and then I went to the Denver Police Department from there.
Yep. All right. So got out at Colorado, and what made, out of everything else, what made you go law enforcement? You just wanted to keep carrying a gun? Did you want to just keep serving your country but staying at home? Right, because I don't think you had a calling as a child to be a cop. What made you pick to do the Thin Blue Line?
So that really was like I told them, right, in all my briefings, they're like, why do you want to be a cop? I was like, I want to continue to serve. But in reality, I just felt super pigeonholed. I didn't know what else to do. I'm like, I'm a Green Beret. I've got some combat experience. I'm getting out of the military. Like, what do I do? Like, I go Fed, so I put in for FBI. I put in for Secret Service, for CIA, because I finished my degree my bachelor's degree, before I got out. And then I put in for the police departments. I was like, I just felt super pigeonholed into continuing, that style of service. Because yes, I want to help people, and it's led me to where I'm at now, where I get to help people without carrying a gun, for a living.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. With the same with you. This is what we're doing right now. Is we're we found a way to help people without being in that capacity, which is amazing. But I didn't know that stuff like this existed. So, I'd like to say that I was like, stepping up to the plate, and it was just like noble thing. But honestly, I just felt pigeonholed into that career choice.
All right, you stayed as a cop for how many years? You still doing it, or?
No. So I did Denver Police Department for about, I think it was like 3 years. So 18, 19, 20, almost 21. So it was, about 3 years. Because I got in. I was still in the Army when I went to the police academy. That was a scary 3 months. Hoping that the Army didn't call me, but.
Yeah, you were what do they call that? Terminal leave, right? Basically.
Yeah.
But without actually being on leave.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So I did that, and then I got, I really enjoyed being a cop because it was like, getting in foot chases with people that take off running from you, and bumping up gangsters and like feeling their waistband, and all of a sudden they got a pistol in the waistband, a stolen gun, and they got, it was like, this is an adrenaline rush for sure. Like, this is cool. And then I got lucky. I got on a small team, which is really all I wanted. I wanted to get back in that small team environment to try and replicate, group life again.
Mm-hmm.
So I got on a citywide impact team. It was this team that just got stood up. Because typically in a department you have impact teams, but they're broken down per district, so they only worry about their area.
Yeah.
Well, this was a new team where you didn't have an area, so that team was going to cover the entire city. So, it was awesome. We were having a blast. And then George Floyd happened. We started doing the riots like 15 hours a day. Our days off were getting canceled and all that stuff, and it was just getting exhausting. But we did the riots. The riots were fine, right? It was almost like being back at, I hate to say war, because war puts you're treating your Americans like the enemy when it comes to riots, but similar situations, even though obviously there's, obvious differences. We're not treating them like the enemy, but we're trying to protect ourselves. We're moving and communicating and shooting, but it's less lethal. But anyway, and so the riots were fine, but then the department, I felt like, started not supporting their police officers.
Yeah.
And the department started like the chief started calling out officers based on what he had seen on the media. And he started calling out officers to the media, he wouldn't even call the officer themselves or call the officer's leadership to ask them first. He just started calling them out. And one of them was my teammate. My teammate shot a pepper ball round, and it hit a cell phone, and that cell phone went viral. That footage went viral, and they made it out to like he shot it on purpose, even though he was hanging on to a moving truck and he was holding on with one hand, and he shot this pepper ball just because it hit that phone. They try to make it like he purposely shot it. Like, he couldn't make that shot. Yeah, he couldn't make that shot if he fucking tried. Like, he was a swick boat operator. He is not as cool as he likes to think. But so he's a great dude. I'm just talking shit about Navy swick boat guys because I think they're special forces.
All right, so what made you decide to leave law enforcement besides that your government not supporting you? Did something happen? Was it you just couldn't take it anymore?
Yeah, I mean, that was it. I didn't like the department not supporting their police officers, and I was like, I'm not going to work for a department that is going to, on one hand, ask me to do whatever I got to do, and say that they trust me to do it, and say that I have enough training to do it, and then the very next moment try to appease the media and will send me, basically try to destroy my reputation and destroy, me as a person, because they're not looking good in the media. And that's not something I could stand for.
All right, so how do you walk away with nothing else? Obviously, you've got your college and everything. What made you? Did you decide first you're going to write a book, or did you decide first, hey, I'm going to start the F&G Academy, or did you decide, hey, I'm going to go be a social media influencer? Which one? Because I'll tell you what, brother, if you had asked me 5 years ago, hey, Carl, are you going to grow up to go be a social media influencer? I would have punched you right in the throat. I hate the internet. I don't have a Facebook account. I don't have an Instagram account. I don't have a Twitter account. I hate all this stuff. But here we are, fast forward, I've got 600,000 devoted followers on YouTube. We have a Instagram, we have a Facebook. I've never been to our Facebook, but I do post on Instagram, as much as I hate to admit it. But so what made you, where did you start, dude? Because that's a big jump that you did, brother Sean, going from military veteran cop to, I'm going to start my own training academy. And so how did that big jump take place?
Well, so that started years and years ago, really, and that started years ago financially. My wife and I have always lived extremely frugal. Like, even when the department is paying us well, from the military, we always just lived like we were broke. I mean, we drove. I bought her vehicle she had for like 10 years, and I bought it brand new, paid it off immediately. Never bought her a new one, no matter how much she complained, no matter how much we disliked it. And we saved every penny we could. And so when the opportunity came to just leave the department, it wasn't to become an influencer, it wasn't to grow the YouTube channel. I didn't know any of that would even work at all, period. And I never planned on any of that happening either. Like, I did the YouTube channel as a way to get my experiences out there. And I 100% told my wife, I said, no one's going to watch this, but it doesn't matter. If it helps one or two people, it'll be there for those one or two people, and it'll make me feel better to put it out there. So when I decided to get out of the department, it was the way we were able to do it was because we had put ourselves financially in a position where we were fine, and I had a gap period of time, 6 months, where we didn't have to worry about having an income. And we decided to take the leap, and the plan was not to make money on YouTube or to make money as an influencer or anything like that. The plan was just to take a break and to figure out something that could suit me better. And, the YouTube just happened to supplement our income. But really, having the freedom to do that really came down to financial lifestyle decisions, and living well below our means for a lot of years.
So y'all still living near Denver?
Yeah, so we still we have a house in Colorado. We had two houses because for a long time real estate was one of our income sources. So we had one rental property and then one house, and then we just sold that one house because the market's just absolutely insane right now.
Yeah.
And I do think that a correction's coming, and I think it would take honestly a decade before I would be able to sell that house for the profits that I got from it now, to replicate those profits. I think it would take at least a decade. I see a correction coming when the forbearance periods come to an end, and we really see what COVID has done to the economy, and we really get a good idea. I think everyone's just kind of holding their breaths and pretending at this point to get through elections, to get through COVID and all this stuff, whatever. So I see a drastic shift coming in the real estate market. But yeah, so that was one thing we did. We sold off that house, and we're staying with in-laws now because we have a baby on the way, but then we're going to once the baby comes in April, we're going to move back to Colorado.
Cool. Awesome, man. I just passed through Colorado a few weeks ago. I went out to Salt Lake and came back through Denver. And I just pulled over for the night to get a hotel room. And I pulled into like pretty well the worst neighborhood to spend the night. It was pretty bad. But me and my son hanging out, no big deal. But yeah, Denver is Colorado as a whole, man. My personal experience, people that I know from there, is a lot of them are great patriotic Americans. But then there's so many people right there in the big cities that are voting ultra liberal. Is it really that bad, or am I seeing this wrong?
No, it's that bad. Denver as a city is bad, and if you, I don't care if you're from the city, I don't care. Almost nobody, whether you're Republican or Democrat, could argue that Denver as a city has taken a drastic turn for the worse. I mean, go to downtown and look in the Civic Center Park, and the grass is all dead in the park because the homeless encampment took over the park. So it's just a giant tent city. And we watch because we have cameras, we could see people in the park, and we watch them just sit there and shoot up, and it's an open air drug market, and there's nothing law enforcement could do. There's nothing anyone could do. It's disgusting. They're shooting up, like kids are walking down the street with their parents, and they're shooting up right next to them, and then doing their, dances all around the park, just high as a kite. It's a complete open air drug market. Everyone that ever wants any kind of crack, any kind of heroin, you just walk into Civic Center Park and, wave around a couple bucks, and it's right there, readily accessible. And what is Denver trying to do? They're trying to make shoot up stations to where you can go, once you buy your heroin, you can go safely, quote unquote, shoot up your heroin without being harassed by law enforcement. And it's like, well, you're already not being harassed by law enforcement because law enforcement can't do anything when an entire city says we condone this behavior.
Yeah.
Law enforcement's hands are tied because essentially you work for the city. So Denver is, but this is what they do. So a lot of people that vote in Denver, they'll segregate themselves in pockets of the city that are very wealthy. So when they're in their area, their specific area, it's extremely wealthy. It's extremely clean. The bars are phenomenally nice. Everyone is dressed amazingly and top notch, and the cars are beautiful. But they just avoid the 10-minute drive south that gives them the reality of what the city is turning into.
Yeah.
So it's all a facade, but at the end of the day, Denver is not looking good.
All right, now, like you just mentioned, the cops don't have a choice. They work for the city. We have to ignore the drug laws. We have to abide by it now, because you just separated, right? And you were one of these major metropolitan area city cops. So I got a question for you, and you can just say no comment if you want. But if you right now were still active duty with your little team there in Denver, you're still on your little special team there, and the mayor says, hey, your special team's been grabbed to go collect up firearms from edge of the city. There's a suburb where a bunch of these holdouts, they will not turn their guns in. You think those cops are going to go out there to save their jobs? Will they go out there and collect up guns?
No, absolutely not. And there's no way that they're going to do that. And this, in my opinion, is why. And I know that's a fear.
And honest, dude, trust me, we do not want to do politics here. We do not. However,
No, and I get you.
yeah, no, but we have so many people on our side of the internet. The part, everybody, all the other channels are getting shut down left and right. Everybody's so worried that, they're going to send the conventional military to take their guns. And I know that won't happen. I know that won't. They say, well, they're going to send the National Guard to take their guns. And I know, depending where those groups are, I've never met a National Guard guy that will come take guns from other rednecks.
No.
But
No,
I want all of our viewers to actually hear it from you, coming from one of the most liberal cities in the United States. No, dude, it's really heartening to hear you say that. To literally hear you say that, even though it's a politically volatile area, that they're going to do the right thing. That you just made my day, dude. Seriously, Sean, you literally just made my day.
Well, and here's the thing though, is like, you gotta remember that you have to have a plan for that. So cops are not gonna go. Cops are like, you're saying that I'm gonna go into someone else's house under what pretense? Like there's no way I'm gonna go in there and start like pulling their gun. I'm not gonna do it. So I can't speak on behalf of every police officer, but I know that,
of course,
officers have the ability to we can call it dragging their feet. We could call it, we're not going to do what we don't want to do when it really comes down to having a moral and ethical issue. And taking good Americans' guns is just something that I myself would never do. And I can't see any of my brethren that I serve with doing that either, because how would you even go about that? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
You're asking us.
Dude, I agree.
That is the most
I just wanted my viewers to hear it from you. Hey, tell the book, obviously, and I appreciate you giving us the cliff notes of it. Again, guys, if you're coming and going, if you've just joined us, we have Sean Buck Rogers. He's a fellow Green Beret brother of mine. Very tragic childhood growing up, and his story is literally a story about not letting society keep you down, not letting your situation keep you down. And we just disconnected. Ryan, give us a second, dude. We got to reconnect here. Is it reconnecting? We good?
Reconnection successful.
All right, so
hold on.
Say when.
Well, here's the thing. I'm recording this audio separately for us to be able to put out later.
So
Sean,
good
if
enough.
you
We'll
can
keep
still
going.
hear me.
So it was Ryan's.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Sean Rogers' book is called Rising Above, and it's a great story. Before we wrap it up, talking about where they can get this book, tell us some more about FNG Academy. I love the name; it's catchy. But what do you do with it, man? Who needs to go to FNG Academy? What can it do for people, man?
Yeah, so the FNG Academy it's just about helping people grow as human beings. And one thing I like to say is that we're trying to build character, not resumes. So, whether you want to go special operations or not, you need to understand that the process is what's important, not the outcome. So, guys and girls that want to go to Special Forces selection, they want to go to Ranger selection, they're all so concerned with whether or not they're going to pass. We all know how that feels. We were there too, right? You feel like if you don't get the reward, then you didn't get anything. But, and Carl, you could justify this more than I can, but, as we grow in knowledge in this life, we understand that, it's the character that we develop as we go on this journey. And so the FNG Academy is just really about helping people get through their fears, understand what the special operations community is actually about. So that way we can help people make the right decisions, and we can get the right people signing up for the job and not get people that just see the flashy shit and say, you know what, I want to jump out of planes and shoot people. And it's like, the more information we could put out there so they truly understand what they're signing up for, hopefully we can but continue to get the right people signing up and, really influence the future operators out there, because, we cherish our community, and I don't care, how long you did it, or if you, whatever the case, like if you donned a Green Beret, or if you, pinned a trident to your chest, there's one thing that binds us all together, and we cherish our communities, and we want to see it continue to be an elite force. And I think the way to do that is to help people understand truly what it is that they're signing up for, but then help them get it. So that's what the FNG Academy is all about.
Awesome. And you're absolutely correct. Dude, brother, I support everything you're doing. And, not all SF guys, not all special ops guys can do any job in special ops. Everybody has a different personality, and they all have strong points and weak points. And, this is what you've been touching on. I had another medic in the course with me. If this boy was any gentler, they'd have to make special camouflage uniforms with flowers on it for him. This boy was a gentle soul. He drove a VW Bug, and his basement, his drive-in basement, was filled with antique VW Bugs, like no joke, antique ones. This boy was gentle, dude, like hold your pinky out gentle. He would never have cut it in 5th Special Forces Group. But he went to one of the civil affair battalions, also in special ops. And I'll tell you what, he found his calling, dude. He went all over the planet being the best medic they ever had. And then there are guys that are put on this planet that can do close quarters battle. But at the same time, I've met Green Berets in 5th Group, literally. Combat decorated Green Berets, 5th Group desert mobility teams, they did scud hunting, everything else. They would not go into a building if there were bad guys in the buildings. They would stay outside. They would prep the thing with 50 cals and Mark 19s, and then they would cordon, and they'd call in the SIF company, or they'd call in the Rangers, they'd call in the local infantry. So it's not for everybody. I'm not sure I could go down a jungle penetrator like a PJ could in the middle of a minefield to get out a downed pilot, knowing that that helicopter is going to wave off because it's taking fire and it's smoking and it may never come back. But yet, no, I'm serious. But there are PJs that do that. I actually know a PJ that got a Silver Star. Kerry Miller, he actually went down the penetrator into a minefield. And I'm like, dude, did you know it was a minefield when you got on the jungle penetrator? And he's like, yeah, but that's where the casualty was. No, dude, what you're doing is awesome. Tell us about your website. Tell us how these guys, our viewers tonight, can find more about Sean Buck Rogers, and then wrap this up. Tell us about your that book you've got coming out, because I tell you what, man, I know you've got literally hundreds of people here hanging on the edge of the seat listening to you here for the last hour, and I can just imagine they're all right now, the biggest decision in their life is if they're going to get the hard copy or the soft copy of your book. So where can they find this?
Yeah, man. So the book is on Amazon, Rising Above, and you can't miss it. There's 2 Rising Above. One's a basketball book, and then one's mine. But then the website, SeanBuckRogers.com, you can hit the pre-order button on that main page, and then it'll take you to the soft cover, so it's easy to find. But yeah, the book comes out on the 23rd, and we're just keeping pushing, and I think, was it the 15th, we're headed out to see Tim Kennedy and to film with him, and then we're just trying to, and then talking to you, and we're just trying to keep going along with bringing this community to our audience the same way that you're bringing yours to yours, and connecting. I think that's one thing we talked when we initially talked, is bringing this community together. And so I really appreciate it, and I appreciate the support that everyone is given to the book and to me, because supporting the book, it's not about the book. It's about supporting me, because that's my whole life in that thing. This isn't something that I wrote to sell books. This is a one-off about me, and I don't know if there'll ever be another one. So it means a lot.
Well, brother, you're gonna have to renege on that. You get a couple years under your belt with the great stuff that you're doing here, and you're gonna have to do a part 2 to this book. Because I'll tell you what, I made a decision a decade ago that I've done everything I wanted to do with my life. I could check out any day and it wouldn't matter. My family would probably be better off without me. I definitely had no idea that I would be doing anything after the military at all. Maybe contracting, grow old and die, raise my honeybees. And here I am. I've started our own little training company, our own little niche on the internet here. And we're not big, but I sleep.
Crushing it.
Well, I sleep well at night.
Crushing it.
We're making the world a better place, and it's because it's not just me. It's because I've got other people. You mentioned Ted Kennedy; he does good stuff, and it's just stuff that you're doing, man. There's a bunch of us out there. There's a bunch of great people, and you get enough great people working towards the same goal, man, and nothing at all is going to be able to stop us. So,
Absolutely.
Sean, thanks for coming on. For all of you at home, again, it is SeanBuckRogers.com, right? Is that correct?
Yep.
SeanBuckRogers.com. The name of the book is Rising Above. And it's a great story, guys. And here's what I like to do with good books like this. You read it, and the heartwarming story out of it, because there's a lot of people that are down on their luck right now that think that they've got nowhere to go. You take that book, and when you're done reading it, you find somebody else that you think needs that book, and you go sit their ass down and you make them read it, and you make sure they understand that they've got to pass it on to somebody else after that. Brother, if you're ever passing through our way, I'm an hour north of Nashville. It's all highway driving the whole way up I-24.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
I'm right near Fort Campbell, and I'd love to have you stop by. I'll grill you a steak. I got my shooting range in the backyard. We'll hang out in the man room. If it's summertime, we can put the wife and kids in the pool. We can hang out. And brother, I'll have you sitting in the chair next to me. We'll do another live stream. I'd love to have you back. All right.
That'd be awesome. Let's definitely plan that, man. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Take care, Sean.
Dude. It's good talking with you.
Sean Rogers from F&G Academy.
Check out the book.
Check out the book, guys. Y'all take care.